Guys, it's the Brental Floss Q&A panel. Welcome. I'm in a mood to confess. I'm in a mood to get real. I didn't know I was going to have this panel. I found out from the guidebook. I got an email that said, your panel has been declined months ago. And then it showed up on the guidebook, which is fine. I can definitely take Q's and give A's for an hour. Yeah, I'm just like, it's an odd time for me to do a Brental Floss Q&A for reasons that you guys are clearly aware of, because you're here, unless you just are like, I needed to sit down. It was a nice big room. It seemed quiet. Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is don't be afraid to go there, because I'm not always in the mood to go there, and today I really am. I'm also gonna, let me ask you this, who in here, don't be shy, but also don't lie, who was here at the bar show Thursday? Okay, so I might do a couple songs that I premiered at that show again, just so you guys can hear them. This hotel dries me out like nothing else, and so it's not gonna sound as good as it did, but it'll be some sounds. They'll come from here. Mostly. Yeah, so that'll happen. I might show you some new stuff, but let's just start off easy. Does anybody have a question? Yes, McCormick. Favorite with lyrics video. So this is different from favorite with lyrics lyric. It's still pretty tough. I really loved Castlevania 2 for a long time, just because it was, for what I had, it was a technical marvel, because I just had a wall painted green and a Home Depot floodlight and a friend dressed as Dracula, and we it kind of works, not really well, but for the goofiness of it, I'm punching his face. But gosh, there's so many. BioShock isn't technically a with lyrics, but it's definitely up there in terms of, I like the editing. I really like Super Mario Sunshine. I wish the Miyamoto impression were not the way it is, because at the time I was like, that's what he sounds like, and now I'm like, ugh, white people doing Asian accents is kind of problematic and gross. But aside from that, I adore the editing and the waka waka of the Super Mario Sunshine video. I'd rather turn this question on its head and tell you the ones that I cringe at the most. I hate Thief with lyrics. Even though somebody else could have done it and it would have been great, but me doing it is just my name is Brent and I'm here to say, it's very white. It's very, I don't know. I just wish that I had taken another stab at that or gotten somebody else to do it. I go back and forth about Sewer Surfing with lyrics. For those of you who don't know, it's the one where I realized that the Ninja Turtles live underground in the sewer, and how gross it is that when they're sewer surfing, that's not water. By the way, I know you guys already know this, but there will inevitably be some adult language and themes in this panel. Just content warning. The fake out Robo video that I did, the Chrono Trigger, where actually it's Rick Astley, but it's Robo Rick Astley. I wish I could be I was on drugs at the time. I wasn't. I was just, I don't know what was going on. Yeah. Well, and obviously, Tetris really ages very poorly. That's the one that I wish I could scrub from the record, because whenever people talk highly of me on Twitter, somebody will inevitably go, isn't that the guy that made the women can't play video games and love Tetris video? And it's yes, 30% of my life ago. But that's how stuff is. My Uber driver the other day, she only had 2 things to say. That's how it be, and that's what's up. So that's how it be. That's what's up. Thanks for the question. Do you have another? Yes? Average editing time on my videos. That's a really great question. I will stick strictly to the with lyrics series, because a vlog obviously is a whole different deal. I think that on average it's probably between 4 and 20 hours of editing. It's just a matter of how many stabs I take at it. I have a very rough edit, for instance, of my new Breath of the Wild song. It's so rough I would never ever put it on YouTube, and if I wanted to take the current edit and get it YouTube ready, that would be minimum 3 hours sitting there doing it, but maybe more. I mean, sometimes you need... I often just use Let's Play footage because if I take the audio out, I don't care that somebody captured it. I don't think they have any more copyright to it than me. So some people don't agree with that, and sue me. I mean, what are you going to do? But when I need a very specific shot, like choreographed, if I have to capture the footage myself, man, that can take a long time. My Mario Kart 8 video, I had to play so many circuits of that game with the babies and like screw up in particularly slapstick ways. The playback feature and the highlight reel feature of Mario Kart 8 really, really helped me because it was like in-game editing. I didn't have to make it slow-mo. I just turned it down and it was like, all right, baby Mario, kill yourself. Like, I mean, it's just right into a giant rolling boulder, like, that's a good shot right there. Yeah. Anyway, that's a good dead baby. All right. Thanks for the question. Do you guys want to hear that Breath of the Wild song? Okay. So the thing is, like, Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of 2017. And I really wanted to do something with it, but, like, the really, really good song from Breath of the Wild is the guy in the tower who, like, wants you to, he wants to measure how far you can glide on your glider. And it's a very Mario-sounding song. It's such a Mario-sounding song, I felt like this can't be Breath of the Wild with lyrics. And also, the rest of the game doesn't sound like that. There's barely any music, and it's not catchy. No offense, love the game. It's just not, it's not dum ba da 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 da. You know, like it's not the old good stuff, right? And even when they do the old themes, it's like ha ho ha la 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 la. It's like not good. It's weird. It's just very burp and fart kind of music. But then the Great Fairy, you go into her zone, and she comes out of this very pink, floral, moist hole in the ground and enhances your pants. And I was like, this is it. This is the song. So let's see how this works. This is not going to be, oh my goodness, this mic really, come on, you can do it. There we go. Jeez, crazy. This is what you came to see, me slowly, delicately pulling a mic cord as it goes right back down because gravity works. Okay. Well, this is how it's going to be. Hey, that's what's up. That's just how it be. All right. Let's do this. Oh, man. Remember when? Thanks. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Dang it. Ronald was like, I hope it works, and then bugged. What time is it even? Is it 1:30? Okay. I didn't want to do this till the people that got here on time were here on time. But let me just real quick, if you guys don't mind, see if I can futz with this mixer over here so you can hear the music. Oh, it's not even sending. All right, that's not the song, by the way, but all right. So, just to bring you guys up to speed, not everybody was able to see the bar show on Thursday, so I'm doing my Breath of the Wild song that I did there for the first time, or one of the first times, just so people can hear it. It's called Link Up With Me, Baby. Oh my God, I don't mean to be rude, but let me put it on the line. I've never met a giant-ass fairy as fine as you. Let me bless you, caress you, de-stress you, unless you protest. Let me confess the quest of things I would jest to impress you. I'd fight an overgrown Super Mario dry bones. Let a big blue tongue squirt goo into my ancient iPhone. I'd peel off layers of the map like an onion, and I would plunge in to a giant robot camel, which is also somehow a dungeon. Please, 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 link up with me, baby. Take a breath and let's get wild. Let me see that 5-foot smile. Come on, be my magic lady. Shit, I'm already forgetting the words. That's okay, moving on. Oh girl, let's take a chance on some tiny Hylian giant fairy romance. If I climb more towers and shower you with flowering plants, would you give me some powers? I mean enhance my pants. I magically consume the soul of some old wrinkly prunes. What happened next you might expect. They gave me the runes. These birds play accordion without opposable thumbs. These dudes have a whole dang town where I am pretty sure Falco's from. Did you know I cook and I bake? I could make you a pie or a cake. How about a plate of herb saute with a peppered steak and dessert, a crepe? Don't mean to be glib, but what I wouldn't give to get into that pink wet hole in the ground where you live. Please link up with me, baby. Gotta love that fairy belly. Got a body like a Botticelli. Come on, be my magic lady. Never felt this way before, but I'm suddenly into 4. Oh girl, let's take a chance on some tiny Hylian giant fairy romance. If I leave your fountain, go get a discounted haircut and learn to climb a mountain. Could I climb up your butt? Ride it like a fishy man. Ride it like a seal in the sand. Ride it like a wild horse, or like the wind blow me off course. Ride it like a copter leaf. Ride it like a magic motorcycle that does not belong in this game. Please be my magic lady. You made me a true believer. I got that Fern Gully fever. Oh girl, let's take a chance on some tiny Hylian giant fairy romance. I love your big heart, wanna hold your huge hand. If it takes all of me, let me be your tiny man. Thank you. And that's what my voice sounds like after 3 days of MAGFest. So that's my Breath of the Wild song. A little bit of a different style than other stuff I've done before. It's funny that I was just like, yeah, Thief with lyrics, man. I feel like it makes me sound so white. And then I did that. But you know, it's kind of like, I'm getting to the point where it's like, Weird Al, when he does his stuff, he can bend his style a little, but he's never going to be Eminem. So it's better for him to be Weird Al as that thing. You know what I mean? Not that I need to model everything after him, but I'm kind of the video game Weird Al, so it's like appropriate, I guess. Like for instance, the opening song on my album Bits of Me is called This Is the Album You've Been Waiting For. And it took us 3 different days in the studio to get the vocals right, because I started out trying to do it like Freddie Mercury. I'm not Freddie Mercury. Then I tried to do it kind of like Jack Black, and I'm not Jack Black. I'm Brent Black. And when I did it as Brent Black, it sounded good, even though it didn't sound like Freddie Mercury. But again, like, you kind of, if you're a quiche, don't try to make yourself a pumpkin pie. You're just make yourself the best quiche you can be. Did somebody almost clap or just, okay, cool. I thought I heard someone go, they're like, did you pass it off? Like, what I wanted to see is the person that like changed their mind after 2. Like, got it off my hand, that thing. Anyway, don't clap now. Thanks though. That's a great way to get applause. Just demand that people don't do it. Can I get a question, please? Yes. Oh, well, okay, so the studio I was referring to a second ago is my buddy Joe's. He lives in upstate New York, and he was the producer for the first 2 albums. So honestly, his mic was so good and his setup was so good, it was just in his attic with a sound dampener behind the mic. My personal studio, which Joe happened to build, is a 4x6 modular semi-soundproof sound booth made of sheetrock, green glue, and wood, and it bolts together and apart. And it's got some baffling on the inside and some fabric, and I have a little collapsible desk that, like, this is not very interesting. It's just a little room where I record sound and sometimes go in there for phone calls so my roommates don't hear me. Yeah, I lead a glamorous life. Thanks for the question. May I have another? Yes. The question was, what takes longer, video editing or music editing? And it's very flexible. Like, I did Shovel Knight with lyrics in 6 days. 6 days from playing the game to releasing the video. And in that case, the music was easier because I converted the NSF files that were used to make the Shovel Knight music into MIDI, so I didn't have to like arrange the whole thing. But then like Wii Shop channel, there was no MIDI anywhere of the Wii Shop channel song, and that song makes no musical sense. Like the chords are spicy. So like I just had to like sit there and listen and transcribe for hours and hours and hours. And the kind of arrangements you do on an album sometimes might be a little bit more tweaked than, say, just for a regular old with lyrics. In general, I would say I probably spend more time with the music, because keep in mind, if it's an original song like the BioShock song, you're talking composing the tune, writing the lyric, making a demo, making sure all that feels good enough to move forward, and then that's when you actually start to throw a trombone in, think about the color, the flavor, the timbre. So typically I'd say music, but like it can vary. Cool question. Yes, in the costume, hello. That's a question that I never know how to answer, so let me just spin the wheel and see what I come up with. I think that it's more of a condition than inspiration. So sometimes I'm looking for a thing to make a song about. And I feel like once I start looking, I'll have one idea, and maybe it's not great, and then I'll like ride my bike. And like my brain sometimes seems like it's doing work in the background. My therapist tells me that. I don't know. She's like, don't always be listening to music. Let your brain do some work without being preoccupied with a podcast. But then it'll just come to me. Like I'm thinking about doing a Stardew Valley song, and I played 96 freaking hours of Stardew Valley when I was depressed last January and February and March. So I really loved that game, and yet it was so hard to think of what to write it about. And then I didn't play it for a few months, and I watched some footage of it, and I was like, why do you enjoy breaking up rocks and chopping down trees? And I was like, oh, that's the joke. Like, this game makes you love dumb crap you would never, ever do in real life. You're like, I guess this is my life now. I guess I like chopping down trees. I won't go fishing with my dad, but I love it in this game. So I'm thinking it might be kind of a bluegrass tune if I get around to that. But sometimes, it comes from different places. I feel like with the whole notion of a with lyrics video, every game is kind of like a mystery box. Have you ever had like seen a mystery box that you don't quite know? You've got to hold it in a certain way or shake it, or there's like some puzzle to get into the box. Every game is like that. And sometimes it has a bunch of keyholes and you just need to pick one, and sometimes it's truly a mystery. But, and then other times you're like, this isn't freaking worth it, Like I almost wrote Pong with lyrics, because certain versions of Pong do have two distinct musical tones that make up the sound escape. So I thought if I could do a song where the melody uses those two notes, that might be cute. And then I thought, no one will care, and they'll just be like, why is this song so bad? Yeah, inspiration's weird. Like, I think the main inspiration for my whole career was just like a giant sucking need for attention. And, the rest is just kind of, if you care about it and have a certain, I went to school for musical theater writing, which is like Hogwarts. It's weird, but like it's what I do. It's my trade. So that comes into play as well. But as far as where do I get my inspiration, man, it's kind of like seek and ye shall find. Like once you've decided I'm going to do a video about this game, you kind of start looking through the prism of that. And you go, oh, you're watching TV and you hear a song and you go, maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe that's the style I'll work in. And maybe turns out not to be true, but you know what I mean? You just, if you really focus on a thing, you'll start seeing the world through the prism of it and having a lot more ideas as you go. Thanks for the question. Yes, Jesse. Yes. Now, to be clear, I didn't actually do any code for Use Your Words, but I know what you mean. You mean just developing a game. Like, does that change the perspective? And absolutely. Now when, like, there's something that doesn't quite work in a game, whereas before I would have gone, oh, that's so stupid, these stupid developers, why did they make it like that? And now I'm like, oh, there was a fight about that. There was a big fight, and nobody was happy that the turkey ended up in the walls. Man, bummer. You know? And to be honest, it does not make it easier to put on my Brental Floss hat and be an asshole about it, because I kind of go, you know, nobody says, I'm going to make a shitty game. Like, nobody sets out to do that. The way that Tommy Wiseau didn't set out to make a bad movie. The name Tommy Wiseau just makes this guy laugh. That's great. I'm so glad that you're tickled. So yeah, and there's things about Use Your Words that given more time, given more budget, given more control, would have fixed or would have changed. And so now that I see games through that, it's very different. Thanks for the question. Yes, front row. Use Your Words. Hold on, I'm going to pause you. Don't forget your question. When you make a game that sounds kind of like another game, everyone will call it the wrong name forever. This is your life now. People who have played hours of Use Your Words and love it breathlessly tell me how much they love Words with Friends. And I'm like, good. No, it's not your fault. In fact, okay, I'm going to stop talking. Go ahead. How do I decide the house answers? I get high and I write 500 of them at a time. Don't smoke weed till you're 25, kids. It's bad for your brain. After that, do what you want. You're an adult. But it's not always, I don't always use marijuana. I don't always use anything. But I sit down and, in fact, the house answers are more likely to help me decide the prompts than the other way around. Because if I can't think of, I have to write a minimum of 7 family-friendly house answers for every prompt. Because with 6 people playing and 1 automatic house answer, that's the minimum required for the game to work without repeating itself. So if I can't think of 7 pretty quickly, then it's just not a good prompt, because how can I expect Joe Schmo, like I'm a professional comedy person. I don't like the word comedian because it makes people think of like stand-up comics, and I'm not that, but like I am a comedy professional. If I can't think of 7 things, then how is Joe Schmo or Grandma, who we're trying to market the game to, how are they going to think of something in 75 seconds? So I also, we hired contract employees to write house answers, including Samus actually wrote a couple house answers for us. That was amazing. And people you may have heard of on the internet, Ashley Bez, Merritt Kay, Kate Sloan, who writes for girlyjuice.net. I kind of wanted... Frankly, you know, I'm a straight white guy. Well, straight presenting. That's a longer story. And so we wanted women, queer people, people of color, people that are so different that they would have, that their answers would be something that I'd never think of. Like Ashley Bez, the prompt was, name something you shouldn't do while wearing roller skates, and she answered, take a pregnancy test. I would never have thought of that, but it's funny to everyone, but in a different way, you know? So yeah, about 20% of the house answers are written by contract staff writers, and most of them are basically have a very different profile than me and the other 4 straight presenting white guys, or other 4 straight presenting white guys on the team. So yeah, thanks for the question. Let's do another. Yes. So my inspiration for Tetris with Lyrics was really that it was just a very catchy song, but what people don't always realize is the original draft of Tetris with Lyrics was actually much more about communism. Because you probably don't know a lot about this, or maybe you do. So Russia, like, is a democracy now, but for a long time, Russia was communist, and we were capitalist, and the countries hated each other. And so Tetris was this strange export of Russia at a time when they were still communist. And so that has a whole history with Stalin and Lenin and the Bolshevik Revolution and all that stuff. So I just wrote this like absurdist lyric about how all these little pieces, the blocks are falling out of Stalin's nose and the Russians have to put them together, but it's sort of make work. In fact, there's a video called The History of oh, Jeezy, crazy, what is it? It's basically the history of communism in Russia set to the tune of Tetris. You should really check it out. It's an amazing video, and it's not quite as set up punch funny as mine, but it's way smarter. But yeah, mine was gonna be about that, and then like there was this one lyric about the Russians trying to, you know, reprogram our women because women love Tetris, which I hold to that as being true, but men do too. I think the reason nowadays, I think the reason women are seen to love Tetris is because it was marketed to both genders in a way that most games in the 80s and 90s were just marketed to boys. So if you can't tell, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not the guy that wrote Tetris with Lyrics in 2008, and it's uncomfortable that it's on my record, but what was exactly the question about it, though? Inspiration. Sometimes you just like a song, and you go, or you like a game, and you go, there's something in there. There's gold in those hills. You know, for instance, with DuckTales with Lyrics, I didn't know what it was going to be about, but I knew that Moon song was freaking great, and I was visiting family in Florida, and just paced up and down the beach, and when I came upon Crazy Duck in Space, the whole song made sense. The whole, like, he's insane, yes, mental illness. Anyway, so, yeah. Let's do another, yes. Can you phrase that as, my wife? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Ah, that's fair. You know, thank you for joining this group therapy circle. I'm sorry that that's your fate, but well, I mean, yeah, I think that there is something. You know, it's like when I was a kid, my mom was really good at, like, when I couldn't fit everything in my lunchbox. My mom was really good at spatial reasoning, and in my mind, I was like, women are just. And I try these days to never start a sentence with like, women are this, because that's really dumb and usually somehow wrong. But I connected the ideas of spatial reasoning and organizing things into a space with female people. And so there was always something about it to me, and my grandma happened to like it a bunch, and like her Nintendo broke, so she just bought a Tiger handheld of Tetris to like supplement the fact that her Nintendo stopped working. So anyway, but yeah, you know, Tetris, women, yes. Yes, in the back. Yeah, you. Hi. In my experience, neither. I don't think it's cutthroat because I don't think anybody would give a shit if I was like, this other guy doing comedy songs, well, he is a jerk. Like, you know, it would be petty. But at the same time, I mean, look, it can be very collaborative. I historically am more of a loner, just because I'm not great at sharing creatively. And that's why people like Dave Ballmer are so special to me, because Dave is just the rare collaborator that I can like do a three-legged race with. Like, he and I have written lyrics in a real-time conversation, which is a thing. I'm struggling to explain why it's such a big deal, because I am better at either working for someone or telling somebody what to do. Really sharing, and this affects my interpersonal relationships, really sharing and really collaborating and not just being prescriptive is hard for me. But I think lots of people do collaborate. But I've typically been more of an island. Like, I know Mando Pony, nice guy. I know Gavin, who does Miracle of Sound. And I'm sure that there's like tons of LA bros that like get on YouTube and like do a terrible parody of a current pop song, and they just slap like a Mario word in the chorus as if that's good, and it gets 1 million views because people are idiots. But, you know, like, I don't know them, and I'm sure they're nice people too, whatever. But I think that it's a false choice, like cutthroat or collaborative. I think it doesn't have to be either, but I don't know. Does it seem? I don't know what a cutthroat version of it would look like, because everybody's in their own basement, or yeah. I'll end it there. Yes.
So people were asking you for years to do Pokemon songs, and so when you finally came out with it, it's about STD.
Correct.
Did you make it about STD because people kept asking about it?
No, actually, fun story. I was in, is it a fun story? We'll find out. I'm trying to stop doing that, because then it's like, you better enjoy it. Okay, so story. It was 2009. I was at a convention, 2010, I'm sorry. I was at a convention called Another Anime Con in New Hampshire, and I just made a joke, like, STDs, gotta catch 'em, oh. And somebody else riffed a funny follow-up to that. And so I said another one. And then suddenly in a hotel room with some like randos that were at this convention, I was like writing it really fast to make them laugh. Because of that, and because of the kind of comedy I did back then, the first draft was fucking vile. Like, talking about like some jokes about priests and some jokes about like bodily fluids and nostrils, and it was trying to go for shock value with a bunch of like early 20s goobers who were probably just humoring me because, you know, I was, I guess, more famous than them or something, I don't know. But it wasn't really an answer to the demand for a Pokemon song. It just became one. I've just never I never got the Pokemon, I never caught the bug. I played Blue when I was 26 or 27. It was all right, but I was like, I can really feel that this is a game that requires you to play it when you're young, or young at heart. I didn't play it with that attitude. I played it as a job, and I just didn't get anything out of it. People are like, oh, do Lavender Town with lyrics for Floss Tober, and I'm like, well, but would it be funny, or would it just be like spooky? By the way, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I haven't really made with lyrics videos in a while. I can't believe they gave me a Brental Floss Q&A panel at all. But I'm working on new stuff. You know, I talked before the panel started to the few people that were in the room about being ready to get real. And like, a combination of like, a couple things happened, you know. I had a big breakup in 2014, and you can see I was doing like a video every 2 weeks. It was like this renaissance of new stuff. Like, a new with lyrics video every 2 weeks is a big freaking deal. Like, it's a lot of work to do. But I was doing it. And then the breakup happened, and you can just, it's like the chart of the income, and all the stuff just goes like, poof. And that's, you know, when you're cohabitating with someone. I mean, we were basically married, not legally, but, you know, we had a dog together. She got the dog, I got the furniture. That was a huge bummer. And so, like, you can see the way that affected the videos, and even thematically. What was the first video after the breakup? Limbo. After that, the one about going insane playing Bubble Bobble. The one about after that, this winter's gonna be long. Like, you can see my mental state deteriorating. Not like, you know, Donald Trump or anything. I'm just saying, like, he just tweeted today, a stable genius at that. What a fuckhead. Anyway, I don't care if you disagree. I don't give a shit if you disagree. He's a terrible, terrible man. And I don't like being in the same city with him. Anyway, Grandpa's gonna put his angry cane away. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, so the thing is, like, Use Your Words kind of pulled me out of this depressed creative funk. But once I had the idea in early 2015, it's all I wanted to do. And I really felt like the more I did Brental Floss, the more I was attached to the earlier work in Brental Floss that doesn't really represent me anymore. Like, when I date on OkCupid, I like to tell them I'm a YouTuber, or I used to like to, but now they go, "Ooh, what's your channel?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, you need to know," because would you show somebody home movies of yourself 10 years ago before you go on a first date with them? No. Especially you'd be a fetus. And yeah, well, I feel about as different now as, you probably do from when you were a fetus, because like I've changed a lot. And it's not just political or ideological. 24 to 33, when you're a kid, it seems like you just hit adulthood and then you just sort of stay the same forever. And it's like, no, you keep growing and decaying and learning and changing and cringing at what you did a couple years ago forever, hurtling toward death at the speed of time. Anyway, welcome to MAGFest. But yeah, so like I dealt with depression and I dealt with anxiety, and the Brental Floss thing, it was easy to just kind of let it lie for a bit while I did Use Your Words, which was the first big, exciting new project I'd taken on in almost a decade. So now Use Your Words is done well. I want to make either a DLC or a sequel or something. We're not sure yet. I have another game I want to do. I have a Star Trek musical that I might share some of that with you here in a second. But Brental Floss still has the power to bring all you mostly strangers to a room at 1:30 p.m. on a Saturday. That's not nothing. And I still have jokes to make, and I still love video games. So the elephant in the room is there was a weird period there where, like, yeah, I just straight up wasn't even doing videos, and I certainly wasn't writing new stuff. But I am, and I don't want to promise a new album because who knows what will happen. But I guess what I want to tell you is that, like, I want to return to it, though I'm going to need to do it on my terms, and it's probably never going to feel like that guy that did the FAQ videos. You know what I mean? It's probably never going to feel like the guy that did, the effects of alcohol videos or the drunken rambles, if you ever saw those in the early days. Because every 7 years, almost all of your cells switch out. So that guy's like, except for the bones in the brain, like literally dead. And here's me, hi, I'm the new one. So, like, I'm like the Doctor, except I don't have the eyebrows, that's right. And my TARDIS is not bigger on the inside. It's just a little sound booth for recording sound, mostly. All right, next question. Let's do with the glove. Oh, I see. So like a new thing to try. Well, I'll tell you, I think it's time to take on something that combines them all. I think, if you guys are like asking about inspiration because you don't know what to do creatively, I think it's best to always look at your life and ask, like, if everything that came before today was the prologue to a story that starts today, then what happens in the story? What in there had to happen in order for me to be able to do the next thing I'm going to do? That may give you some direction. Like, if you look at 2008, and I'm not forgetting your question, but I'm doing that thing I do where I go all the way around it. 2008, I had gotten a degree in musical theater writing. I'd written musicals, I'd been in theater, I'd written funny comedy songs, I'd played a lot of video games. And so it kind of like, the prologue was that, and the obvious thing to do was to combine those into a unique product. That's why the With Lyrics series was more popular than any other thing I did, because it was uniquely a combination of the things I could do, and not just me trying to be a quiche when I'm a pie, or trying to just be an oboe when I'm a clarinet. You're never going to be a clarinet. Be a great oboe. So what I really want to do is make a game that is a musical. I think it's a side scroller, but the weird thing about starting with that premise is it is independent of genre. I don't want to make one of those games that's like 5 different genres and they're all crappy mini games, because I'd rather have a really polished thing. But looking at Cuphead, I just go like, they demanded something very specific and very weird, and people were like, you can't do that. You can't have a whole hand-drawn game. That's dumb. Why are you going to why go to the trouble? And now they've won every freaking award and sold 1 million copies. So to me, the idea of a game that is a musical, for instance, imagine your character's a silent protagonist, and you wake up in a pyramid that's all booby-trapped, like Indiana Jones. You don't know how you got there. But there's this like douchebag kind of guy, like Captain Zap Brannigan from Futurama kind of guy, or Gaston, and he's like, well, kid, I don't know how we got in here, but we're gonna have to get out, so be careful, don't step on anything. And he like, walking back, trips a rope that makes this boulder start rolling towards you, and he's like, well, I don't know what you did, but we've got to get out of here. So he starts running backwards and goes, follow me. And so he starts singing to you about how great he is, and how lucky you are to have found him, and how nothing gets past him, just stick close. While he's tripping every single booby trap in the place, and you're trying to outrun the boulder on the other side. So it's kind of like those Rayman Legends levels, where it's timed to music, but like, the whole action of the game is the song. It's not quite, like, every level couldn't be like that, because it would feel relentless, and people don't always like to be on rails for too long. But that kind of a thing, like, that's a concept I think that I could uniquely be suited to do. I need to learn a lot about how side-scrollers work, because they are not easy. They're like deceptively easy, but like to make one that has a unique look the way Cuphead had a unique look, and maybe where the sprites actually have like Disney-style mouth animation as they're running, could be like a lot to bite off. But when you ask about a new venture, it's not that the individual parts are new, it's that this combination of them would be new. Could I show you something from the Star Trek show? Would that be all right? Okay, so here's the concept. You guys know that there's, by the way, what time is it? 2:04. Showtime. All right, thank you. So, it's a Wrath of Khan musical written by Data. So the show that you will enter into when you see this show is a holodeck, which for those of you that don't know is a holographic room where projections in 3D occur and you can touch and feel them. On Star Trek, they're often used for somebody to, like, instead of getting a prostitute, you just kind of fire up the old fleshlight program or whatever they call it and go to town. I always wondered who cleans the holodeck. But anyway, so yeah, I'm sure it's the red shirts. But Data has been tasked with creating a presentation for Starfleet cadets about the Kobayashi Maru, which is the test you can't win. And so this is during his like season 3, season 4 theater phase, where he's trying to understand humans by doing theater. So he decides to write a musical in the style of classic American Broadway shows. And so he's in the holodeck with Picard, showing Picard the first draft, and it sucks. So like the opening number keeps changing styles, and it's too much, and Data puts himself in it, and it's like he keeps referencing all these 20th century things, and the opening number doesn't even end. Picard just like, Data! Like, and he does this whole like, what are you doing? This is nothing. And like, he's like, okay, we're going to fix this. We've got to fix it by tomorrow. I didn't know how bad it was going to be, or whatever. So like they watch the show together, and Data keeps boop, 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 changing it as they go along, and it gets better as they go along. And by the end, it's actually kind of emotionally honest and kind of more like the Wrath of Khan we know. And they reprise like a silly song from the first act is reprised in a sad way when Spock dies. Spoiler. But Wrath of Khan is about Captain Kirk being old. There's a scene where Bones gives him glasses for his birthday, and he's like 55 now, and he just, he wants to be young, but he doesn't know if he's still got it. So the song I'm actually I have no voice left, but I really want to sing it for you, just because why not? Is in the movie, Bones asks him how he feels, and I wanted to sort of do a flashback song in Kirk's head for what he thinks about before he answers Bones. So you're going to see a part where he says the word young, and he's going to take his jacket off, revealing his old gold uniform from the TOS days, and this flashback of all the old characters comes on, and he sort of like gets to enjoy them, and then at the end of the song, he puts the jacket back on and answers Bones' question, I feel old. And so you sort of get the idea that all of that happened in his head after he said the word young. Let's try this. Here we go.
How do you feel, Jim?
I feel like a bloated old transporter clone of my former self. Or a delicate relic just gathering dust on a shelf. Admiral Kirk, in command of a desk like some deep space spore. My mission, to oldly go where old man has gone before.
Just a foolhardy, flabby old fart whose fling's been flung.
Yes, thank you, Bones. But at night, in my dreams, I'm still back on the bridge, and I'm young. Flashback. Just a spry pioneer of the final frontier. Earth year 2266. Dance break. Yeah, the 60s were hot, and we flew and we fought. And you bet that I got my kicks dancing. We'd survey a planet and chart it and scan it, and man, it was often a battle. A red shirt would die as it all went awry, so I beat up some guy and skedaddle. Just a naive, dreaming pup, but my heart was beaming up. James T. Kirk was the swingin'est captain who ever swung. Oh, what I wouldn't give to be young. More crew comes on. We discovered new worlds and new alien girls. Mr. Name Unknown Planet, I've been to it. My hair was all mine and my body was fine. And all species of lady were into it. Always winning the fray in my Earth-human way. But hey, just another day on the clock to me. And the crew by my side would be hiding their pride. So proud they wouldn't even talk to me. With Uhura on the phones, Chekhov, Sulu, Scotty, Spock, and me.
Damn it, Jim.
There's no crew in the fleet who could beat those I voyaged among. Oh, what I wouldn't give to be young. To the bridge. How I long for those unforeseen standoffs with enemy squads. Those puzzles in space with impossible odds. They'd power their weapons and light their cigars, but a last-minute trick up my sleeve meant the victory was ours. Oh yeah, and the crew of the Botany Bay. We rescued them, yes, but then got in their way. They tried to take over the Enterprise. But I cut their leader right down to size. Oh, that planet we hastily stranded them on. And their leader, what was his name? Gone. Whatever happened to that guy? Anyway, I was young, debonair, sort of devil-may-care, squarely daring each catch-22. Still, the risks that I took weren't for kicks or for looks, but to save my ship and my crew just one day back in the chair. With real friends, real fun, real hair, are my winter years meant to be spent as a hero unsung? I can't hit this note, I'll try. Oh, let me go back to then, at warp 8.5, to those better days when I was really alive. What I wouldn't give to be young. I feel old. Thanks, guys. So it's a different style than Brental Floss. It's a little, like, the attempt is to make it a little bit heartfelt. Like, you gotta laugh at Kirk, and he's kind of a douche, and I kind of turned that up a little bit. But you sort of feel for the guy, and there's something I think universal about getting older, and watching Kirk deal with it is fun, and that's sort of the first song in the show where Picard's like, Data, that didn't suck, you know, like, but Data keeps making weird choices, like Khan was supposed to be from the late 90s, so Data thinks he should make Khan's song a boy band, like, because he doesn't know any better. So the show kind of keeps sort of seesawing back and forth between good choices and dumb choices that are funny. And, you know, Spock tap dances and the whole nine. But, so, yeah, I don't know what to call it. So if you have a great idea for a parody musical where Data writes a Wrath of Khan musical, but wouldn't know that it's called Wrath of Khan because it's just a story in Starfleet history, if you can think of a title, not now, but I would be very grateful because I can't figure out what the heck to call it. Anyway, thanks for going down that little rabbit hole with me. Let's see. Other questions? Yes. Well, the answer is no, and the reason is because my podcast Trends Like These is like that every week. Like, I'll be honest. The podcast is making money, and it's cool to be a thought leader, but man, having to read about what Trump does every week and then talk to people about it as a job is kind of like shoveling shit. Like, when you don't want to do it, it really sucks. Like, when you want to, like, this week, let's talk about this new technology coming out. Let's talk about this overall trend of the environment. And it's like, nope, Trump tweeted 3 fucking things. Okay, cool. That's the whole show. Because it's about what trends, you know. So doing a song about Trump, I might do it during the Trends Like These fund drive, but I'd rather not spend I'll be honest, I don't wish death on anyone except Donald Trump. I wouldn't give, the only reason I don't want him to die is because Mike Pence probably wouldn't die with him. But anyway, it's politics. Hey, let's do it. Yes, Coop, what's up? Mm-hmm. Oh, I beat this guy so bad in Retro Gaming Jeopardy yesterday. It was awesome. I didn't know, I mean, they put a whole category of like, name that tune. I mean, look. Yes. Yes, it was. Here's the real reason I won. They shouldn't have made the rule that you can buzz in once you've read the question. They should do what they do. On the actual show Jeopardy, they started out in the 50s or 60s where people could buzz in when they had finished reading. But that kind of unfairly benefits fast readers. And so then they made a rule of you have to wait till the host is done reading the whole question out loud. They should have done that. But when he said that wasn't the rule, I wasn't going to let you win. Well, there was a buzzer, but at one point I was so excited I hit the table and not the buzzer. I was like, oh, God, you know, this is wrong. Yeah. Yeah, my bad. Hey, you're right. Most of the time when I'm a dick, it's because of fear, depression, or anxiety. But in this case, I just wanted to beat you. So, yeah, as I said to some of you before the thing really got started, like, if there's any, I mean, I'm not going to presume any of you have deep questions, but I'm really in a mood to kind of go there and get real. And, you know, there's no other way to be at this point. So if you want to go there, don't be shy with the minutes we have left. And how many are there, by the way? I think it... Okay, so probably more like 10 because there's going to be change over time. So yes, in the back. I don't. I wish I had like a. I mean, if I were that way, I would have done a Pokemon song. If I were that way, I would have done an Overwatch song. I would have done Flavor of the Month. And some people that I respect but have a very different style than them sort of feel like they have to chase that, always doing the new thing. But I think if you're just reading the Wikipedia and watching a trailer and you're going to write a song about a game, I mean, I have no moral thing to stand on here. It's not immoral to make a song about it, but if you're just like slapping some shit together about something you haven't experienced and you have no take on it, you have no insight about it, you have no synthesis of ideas, have fun, I guess. But like the idea of pressure to do a thing that people want because it's popular, I don't know. I don't think that's ever really been. It's like I want to make things that sell, and I think that when I do what I want to do well, typically it generates some kind of money. 9 times out of 10, but yeah, I just don't operate that way. Sometimes I wish I did because I'd be rich, but probably suicidal. So like, you know, money, wanting to live. Blue shirt. Oh yeah, and I mean there's lots of different kinds of self-doubt. There's self-doubt about commitment and family. There's self-doubt about, like, I got pretty much the best brain in my bloodline, and I'm still dealing with stuff. Like, I mean, bipolar, OCD, ADD, ADHD. This isn't mine. This is in my, this is in my family history. So, like, you know, you don't always know. Like, you can have self-doubt about, like, am I going to hold it together, and am I going to hold it together forever? Self-doubt about my voice. I mean, like, I can make myself sound pretty okay when I took 17 takes in the studio, but live is not always as good, and I'm not getting any younger. And, you know, your voice changes as you get older. I smoked for a while. Don't ever do that. Smoke weed after you're 25. Never smoke cigarettes. I wanted another one in the middle of my first one. Just so you know. I knew immediately why people are addicted to this because I went, oh, this is really good. Oh, shit! You know, like, it was like I knew immediately, I'm addicted now. And I was. I don't smoke anymore, but you never have to arm wrestle with that giant if you don't smoke one. What the hell was I talking about? Self-doubt. Yeah, all the time. I go through periods of depression where I compare myself to my famous friends. Don't do that. It's good when your friends get famous because they're your friend, dummy. Yeah, all the time. But I think that's one nice thing about creativity, especially in the YouTube kind of zone, is you can, well, this is kind of, I'm going to just dive in and we'll see if there's water in this pool. Sometimes you can create a version of yourself you'd like to be, and sometimes that can be psychotic, and sometimes it can be constructive. If you're a little bit better, a little bit more put together. I do a podcast where I got to write everything out before I say it because I'm learning a lot all the time about politics and ideology, and my first gut instinct is often going to be shitty. But I think on the podcast I'm just this much better than I am in real time because I've thought about it a second before saying it. I think that can be a real benefit of creativity if you have self-doubt. And if you don't have self-doubt, you're like Logan Paul, and sooner or later everybody's going to hate you. Thanks for the question. You. Funny story, I have a concept for Tetris 2 with lyrics. Let me hit you with this. Tetris 2 was a game, if you haven't heard of it, that's not surprising. It kind of came and went. But I would argue the mechanics of Tetris 2 actually made it a better game. More nuanced, I think more interesting. But it just wasn't the old stuff people wanted. So it didn't go very well. I've thought about making a video called Tetris with Lyrics 2, Tetris 2 with Lyrics, where I talk about how my opinion about women and Tetris and feminism is much more nuanced and better in 2018 than it was 10 years ago. And you're definitely not going to like it as much as that one. It's definitely not going to do as well, and you definitely don't like this video as much as you liked that one, even though it's better. Just like Tetris 2 was better, but people didn't like it because they just wanted the dumb thing. That's what I'd like to do. But I wouldn't like to do a redo. I almost made a video called DuckTales Redux, where I did an HD shot-for-shot remake of DuckTales with lyrics, but I just didn't. And you know, I think George Lucas is an idiot, like savant, obviously, but like idiot, and can't leave well enough alone. My videos are a museum of myself. So you have a follow-up question. These thoughts have crossed my mind. I mean, like, I have an idea for the Mega Man 3 staff role that I just need to get around to. I've done different Mega Man 2 songs, but I also have a Crash Man lyric that I have been doing live and that I'll probably put on my next album. I finally solved the Crash Man lyric, by the way. Those of you that heard it years ago, I was unsure about the fact that it straight up said Crash Man's real weakness is drinking and driving. And now I just make it like he's a train wreck. And we sort of know what that means, like a celebrity train wreck, but it doesn't like make somebody who lost a friend in a drunk driving accident cry, you know, like it doesn't need a content warning the way the other one does. Anyway, the answer is yes, but it's usually not my first thought because there's so many games I haven't even touched. Like, I really want to do Final Fantasy IV justice. I really want to do a song about the story. I have a concept. It's very loose, but to say nothing of like RC Pro-Am, Stardew Valley, Cuphead, maybe Mario Odyssey. I didn't like it as much as everybody else, but I want to do New Donk City though, because like it's got a good tune and like ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. There's a T-Rex that chases you Jurassic Park style. It's fun. I actually played Mario Odyssey on mushrooms, and I got to tell you, it makes way more sense when you too have eaten mushrooms. More questions? Yes. By the way, no mushrooms till you're, I guess, 25. Sure, we'll say that. Go on. Yeah. I have an RC Pro-Am lyric that, let's see if I have enough of it to show you. But like, I made this demo months ago, and I don't think it really is all that great. There's probably some stuff left out, but let me just... Okay, so it goes... Pro-Am
is a game, and it's the jam. That name once again, RC Pro-Am. Let's think about this, RC Pro-Am. So here's what that means. It is a race, but not with real cars. RC Pro-Am, remote control cars with amateurs and professionals. Wait, what? Hold up. Are there pro RC drivers? I did.
So like this is probably making you go, what the fuck is this? And as I get older and like learn more about writers and artists I like, I find out more and more that when you hear early versions of stuff, sometimes you got to write the bad thing first. But I've been tweaking Crash Man with lyrics for 5 years, and I'm ready to release it. So, you know, if you stick with it, sometimes it works, and sometimes you just go, I don't care enough, you know, and you drop it. But that's definitely happened. So, Ronald, is there a 5-minute changeover, or can I go pretty much up to 2:30? Okay, I'll take one more question, then I'll just make it quick for the first time in my life. Yes, in the back. Yeah, like when I watch The Twilight Zone, it really makes me think about death. But the thing I try to tell myself is, it didn't hurt to not be alive before I was born. So why would it hurt to die? It's gonna be fine, because I won't know about it. I don't particularly think there's an afterlife. If you do, I think that's fine. But I'm afraid to die not because like of the unknown. I'm afraid to die because I haven't done all the cool stuff I want to do yet. And so, yeah, like even in the depths of my depression. I never have really suicidal thoughts because I don't want to die. I want to just finish the thing. But it's a good question. And yeah, the short answer is totally afraid of death. And on that happy note, thank you guys for coming to my panel. I know it was a bit of a different tone than I usually take, but there's no other way to be at this sort of thing than honest. I'm doing a meet and greet autograph session thing where I'll have albums. That'll be at 5:30 in the autographs area. I do have, they found a box of the original jewel case. What if the CD had lyrics? Those aren't in print anymore. If that's a thing that interests you, I'll be selling those for $10. And the exclusive run of 2016 special edition CDs that I made. There's like 10 of them left or something, if that interests you. And if not, have a wonderful day, wonderful rest of your MAGFest. Bye!